Q and Review, celebrating 40 years of audio production, welcomes you to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast, recorded from our studio in the Bishopbriggs Media Centre and by our volunteers working from home. Keep up to date with Q and Review news via our Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, or Instagram at Q and Review. That's @CUEANDREVIEW, or get in touch with us directly by emailing information@qandreview.com. That's INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling us on 0141 772 3979. Please like and share our podcast and give us constructive feedback.
Evening Times Sport, February 24. Fernandes refuses to let his head drop at Rangers. Report by Chris Jack. It is one thing having the quality, but another having the character. Manny Fernandes is confident Rangers have both. On a weekend where Danny Rowe's side dropped 2 points and Celtic squandered 3, it was Hearts who were the real winners in the Premiership title race. Now just 10 games remain. The value of the draw with Livingston will become clear in the fullness of time. Will it be viewed as the afternoon that highlighted the inadequacies that will ultimately cost Rangers? Or will they come back to snatch a share of the spoils, get Blue Noses in front for the dash to the line? Sunday was not a good day for Rowe and his players. The performance was not at the level required, and the result was certainly not what was hoped for. Amid all the outcry over the late incident involving Mikey Moore, there were bigger issues for Rangers to worry about and focus on. Fernandes sparked the comeback in the closing stages before Moore denied Livingston what would have been a famous victory. There was obvious frustration for Rangers. There were also crumbs of comfort to be found. Fernandes said, "Look, we're 2-0 down. We show a good fight to come back. I know we'll be disappointed about this, but there's 10 games to go, and we just got to keep fighting. Things like this happen in football. It's a long season, and results sometimes don't go your way, and moments sometimes don't go your way. But I think we showed good character to come back into this game, and we've showed that we are a team. And we showed that we've got a lot more to come, and a lot of moments to come as well. 100% we will need that character over the last 10 games. There's 30 points to play for, and I feel like we've shown character to come back in many games this season. And we showed character to come back to this stage where we are in the season. And we've got to fight and fight and fight and keep hunting. I could feel the fire on the players' bellies in my team, and I know there's a lot to come from us. We just got to stick together and keep going." Goals in either half from Brooklyn Cabongolo and Lewis Smith had Marvin Bartley's side on course for just their second league win of the campaign. At one stage, the comeback did not look to be on the cards for Rangers. Rowe could rightly point to the succession of chances that were spurned as a reason for their failure to collect all 3 points. His side were not at their best, but still had enough chances to win the match, as their own failings in the form of keeper Jerome Pryor denied them. 100% yes, Fernandes said, when asked if Rangers need to stamp their authority on matches earlier and score the first goal. We don't want to be in these moments in games. We don't want to be behind. We want to be ahead, and we want to keep going and getting more goals and more goals. But look, if this happens in games, we just got to keep going and keep fighting. And sometimes, when you go through moments like this in games, you got to find a way to get back into the game. And that's what we did. I'm happy I scored, but my main focus is helping the team, and that's what I did today. And we just got to keep fighting as a team and doing good as a team and focus on the team's needs. When points are dropped at this stage, the conversation inevitably comes to bottle. The issues on Sunday were partly tactical, partly physical and technical. What percentage of the failings were mental ones? For Fernandes, the resolve in adversity spoke for itself. On the day he scored his sixth goal of the season, with a thundering finish from inside the area, the stopper was keen to move onwards and upwards. And he said, "I know, because when people feel like we probably should be winning the games, people are going to ask questions. But I feel, as a team, we know we should be doing better. But as a team, we need to learn from this, analyze it, and then push forward. Obviously, it could be an important point, but there's 10 games to go and there's a lot of points to play for. And we play teams that are up there with us. So that's the main focus, just getting through these next games and seeing where that takes us." Celtic now await for Rowe's side. An Old Firm double-header is always going to be a significant juncture in any term, but the next fortnight speaks for itself, given the potential ramifications. The win across the city at the turn of the year was a milestone one for Rowe. If he can follow it up with two more, one in the Premiership and the other in the Scottish Cup, then the doom and gloom that enveloped Rangers on Sunday would be long forgotten. And Fernandes added, "I don't know how much points we are behind them, but that'll put us 3 more points ahead of them if we get the 3 points next week, and I think that's what we need to focus on. I'm always confident, the team's confident, the fans are confident. They were behind us on Sunday. So I feel we just need to keep pushing, fighting and fighting. 100% we can take confidence from the Parkhead win, and I feel our performance last week gave us a confidence, and I even feel our performance against Livingston. It's just moments in the game where we probably need to stay switched on and stay focused and avoid conceding goals." Evening Times Sport, February 24. Rangers report racist abuse sent to players to authorities. Rangers have released a statement condemning the online abuse that Jedi Gassama and Emmanuel Fernandes have recently faced on social media, calling the messages unacceptable. Following Sunday's 2-2 draw away to Livingston, winger Gassama and defender Fernandes were both subjected to racist abuse on social media platform Instagram, which was then reported to police and parent company Meta. The statement read, "Following yesterday's game, Gassama and Fernandes were subjected to racist abuse on their Instagram accounts. For any player, opening a phone and seeing abuse tied to the colour of their skin is simply unacceptable. The content has been reported to Meta and will be reported to Police Scotland. The accounts appear to be anonymous and are not connected to the club in any way. That may make action harder to take, but it does not lessen the seriousness of what happened or the responsibility of the platform involved. Our immediate priority is the well-being of the players involved. We are in direct contact with JD and Manny and have offered our full support both now and through any future judicial process. We are proud that they stood up for themselves by highlighting this vile abuse. Manny and Shady represent Rangers with commitment and pride. Every time they step onto the pitch, they do so on behalf of this club and our fans. Many supporters have already reached out with messages of support. We welcome that backing. It reflects what this club stands for: pride in the shirt, respect for those who wear it, and a commitment to stand together. The SPFL also expressed their solidarity with Fernandez and Gassama in a statement, and the governing body have vowed to support the authorities as they hunt the culprits behind the posts. Their statement read, "The SPFL joins Rangers Football Club in wholeheartedly condemning the appalling and cowardly online racist abuse sent to the players. These online posts are disgraceful. We fully support any steps taken by the authorities to identify the individuals involved and would urge anyone with information about these incidents to contact Police Scotland." Report by Ryan McGinley. Evening Times Sport, February 25. Put money on it. Celtic hero in next manager tip. Report by Martin McMillan. Former Celtic player Charlie Mulgrew says he would bet money on Motherwell manager Jens Berthel Askew moving to Celtic in the summer. Askew has been impressive at Fir Park this season, putting Motherwell in touching distance of the top three with a fraction of their budget. The Steelmen have lost only 3 league games all season and have taken points off both Glasgow clubs and are unbeaten against leaders Hearts. Mulgrew said on his podcast, The Breakdown, that he would bet money on Askew moving to Celtic in the summer. "If I had to put money on it," said Mulgrew, "I would go for Jens Berthel Askew. He's right on the doorstep, and surely the question has to be asked." Mulgrew also revealed that Askew has already been approached by clubs in the English Championship, including Blackburn, and continued, "I know he's wanted by Championship sides down south. I would be asking him the question." Blackburn contacted his agent. "I'm not sure if it's a club he'd be keen to jump at." Kevin Thompson, Mulgrew's co-host on the podcast, acknowledged the disparity in budgets in the league and commended Askew for his miracles at the club. And he continued on how well the Lanarkshire side have performed in comparison to bigger clubs such as Hibs, Hearts and Aberdeen, given their limited budget. Said Thompson, "With the manager being under their noses and on their doorstep, and powers that be watching how he has performed miracles, when you think of the budget disparity, even compared to Hibs, Hearts and Aberdeen, Motherwell's budget will be slim. Never mind the old firm budgets. When you think of Rangers going and spending £13 million or £14 million in January." This is Askew's first season in charge of the Steelmen. He has already managed to garner praise for implementing his successful style of play. Report by Martin McMillan. Evening Times Sport, February 25. Heather McRae relishing Women's PGA Cup captaincy role. Report by Nick Roger. Every day is a school day. I'm going to be doing a High Rocks event, declared Heather McRae to this befuddled correspondent. She may as well have been talking about the Riemann hypothesis. So what the dickens is this High Rocks lark? It's basically a fitness race where you do 8 runs and 8 workouts and then collapse in a pile, she added. It sounds like this scribe trying to get off the couch. McRae, of course, is not one to sit back and let the days trundle by like tattered cases on a creaking baggage carousel. As a coach, player, mentor, and college recruitment advisor with her own company, Next Level, the 42-year-old often performs more functions than a Swiss Army knife. Her diary for 2026, meanwhile, includes a significant date. In September, McRae will become the first playing captain of Great Britain and Ireland in the Women's PGA Cup at Camden Park in Cheshire. It may not be quite the all-consuming role of, say, a Solheim Cup or Ryder Cup skipper, but McRae is already looking forward to leading from the front. She can also draw on the kind of vast accumulation of knowledge you would find in the British Library. I had some great captains, like Elaine Farquharson-Black and Alison Davidson, when I was an amateur, said McRae of her experiences of working under shrewd stewardships. I was also out with Katrina Matthew in the Bahamas on a training trip earlier this year, and I know her well enough that I can pick up the phone and ask her for any advice. My previous PGA Cup captains have already been in touch too, offering their guidance. The format of the PGA Cup is a bit different to some of the other team events in that it's stroke play. I don't have to worry about pairings or lineups, and I can focus on my golf too. If I play well, the team benefits. My big role is to make sure all the players are comfortable. If you've not played in it before, it can be a bit overwhelming. You play your best golf when you're relaxed and enjoying the company of the people around you. You don't need any dramas. The Women's PGA Cup may be a newcomer to the team golf calendar. This will be its 4th staging since its inception in 2019, but it is an event McRae holds dear. 7 years ago, she made the Great Britain and Ireland side for the inaugural staging, despite undergoing major surgery for cervical cancer. And she said of the motivation the biannual tussle provided during her rehabilitation, the Women's PGA Cup got me out of bed and gave me a purpose. Here in 2026, McRae is as active as ever. She's doing High Rocks for goodness sake, but there remains lingering painful and frustrating effects of her cancer treatment. I developed a lymphedema in my leg, she said of this swelling of the body's tissues. There's no cure for it and not a lot of research on it. I feel I'm doing a bit of experimenting and exploring things myself to see what makes it better. I definitely feel I'm managing it better than before. I still hope one day I'll wake up and have 2 legs that look the same. But realistically, it's not going to happen. I've accepted it. The hardest thing is that it doesn't let me forget I had cancer. That's not a woe is me thing, but if I didn't have this, I would have moved on 100%. Let's face it, 2019 is a long time ago. I'm fit and healthy otherwise. but this is just a constant daily reminder of what I've been through. When I was in the Bahamas, it was nice and warm, but I cannot wear shorts. I have to wear trousers with these tight compressions. Just getting up and being able to put a pair of shorts on would be great, but I cannot. It's little things like that which are hard, but it could be a whole lot worse. March 7, 2019 will forever be etched in McRae's mind. It was the day she was given the devastating news of her cancer diagnosis. At the time of the call, she was blowing up balloons in preparations for a golf event at Stirling to mark the International Women's Day. Every time International Women's Day comes around, it brings it all back, said the former women's amateur snooker champion. I don't know how I got through that golf day. I was on autopilot. But with family and friends, I managed. And here we are, 7 years on with lots to look forward to. Golf keeps on giving. McRae, meanwhile, will give it her all in the Women's PGA Cup, says Nick Roger. Evening Times Sport, February 25. Pache wants Glasgow medals as he balances full-time job and comeback. Report by Gavin McCafferty. Neil Fahey is confident he can get back into medal-winning shape despite working full-time as the former world and Paralympic champion cyclist bids to cement his status as Scotland's most prolific Commonwealth Games winner. The 19 times world champion, who claimed a gold medal at the 2012 Paralympics, has collected 5 Commonwealth golds, the same number as bowler Alex Marshall. The 41-year-old has been tempted out of retirement by a Glasgow Games this summer and is joined by fellow cyclist Finn Graham in being named in the squad. Fahey said, "In some ways it's a bit of a surprise, given that I thought my cycling career might be over, but the lure of another Commonwealth Games in Scotland was pretty strong. I am both excited and a little nervous about getting back into race shape and being on that start line, but excitement definitely wins. Some of my favourite moments of my cycling career have been with the Scottish team, and the Commonwealth Games by nature is a fun competition anyway. The Scottish team spirit is always really strong, and I love being part of the team first and foremost. Having been a full-time athlete for 15 years, since Paris 2024, I have not really trained at all, and I'm just getting back into it, trying to get back towards where I was. On the side, I am also going to be working full-time as well, so I don't have that luxury of 6 days a week to train like I normally would. I have to be smart about how I do it, but I'm confident that I can get back into medal-winning shape, and we'll just see where the journey takes us." Graham won Paralympic gold in a road race in Paris and a silver on the track. Last year, he became the first para-athlete to win a 4th consecutive C3 road race world title, and is also a 15-time medalist at the Track World Championships. The 26-year-old said of his selection, "It feels amazing. To have the opportunity to ride for Scotland in Scotland is something I never thought would happen. So to get that opportunity is a pinch-me moment, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's been the top priority for training and motivation, so to have it confirmed is fantastic. It's something that every athlete dreams of, competing in their home country, so it's a dream come true. Report by Gavin McCafferty. Evening Times Sport, February 26. Ferguson enthralled by four-way fight for Premiership. Report by Joshua Barry. For Barry Ferguson, life looks very different compared to this time last year. Almost exactly 12 months ago, on February 24, the legendary former Rangers captain was appointed interim manager at the club, following the sacking of Philippe Clement. Now, after an American takeover and further managerial upheaval, including the short-lived Russell Martin spell, Ferguson is back in the ambassadorial role he left to enter the dugout in 2025. Watching from the sidelines rather than the technical area, the 48-year-old is as invested in the title race as anyone. Speaking from the Rangers Museum at New Edmiston House, Ferguson discusses manager Danny Rowe's impact, the power of the Ibrox crowd, and chairman Andrew Kavanagh's impact in Glasgow and appreciation of a tenant's lager. Ferguson is also keen to stress that, in his view, the title race involves 4 clubs, not 3. Motherwell under Jens Berthel Askew have seriously impressed him, and he expects more twists before the season's ends. He says, "I've never seen anything like it. It's been absolutely crazy, but that's why we all love Scottish football. I think Rangers at one stage were second bottom in the league, and that's why the managerial change was made. Danny's come in and driven Rangers forward, and obviously you've had Brendan Rodgers leaving Celtic, Martin O'Neill coming in, Wilfried Nancy and Martin coming back, Derek McInnes going to Hearts, and Motherwell looking unbelievable. It has been an exciting season, an enjoyable season, but I've got to focus from a Rangers point of view. And listen, this could be an unbelievable season for Rangers from where they were to where they can get to." Ferguson says he has developed a strong relationship with Kavanagh in recent months. The United States-based chairman, who represents the club's 51% American ownership, has made a concerted effort to re-engage ambassadors and club legends in recent months. That follows early missteps during the Americans' initial period in charge, which ended with the triple sacking of Martin, sporting director Kevin Thelwell, and chief executive Patrick Stewart. Says Ferguson, "I've been very impressed with him. He was not happy at the start of the season, but he went and made changes. He's not scared to do that. He totally gets the club. He totally gets what Rangers mean to so many people. He likes a tenant's lager as well, which helps. Listen, he's all about togetherness, and I think that's the most important thing for everyone connected to the club. For me, the most important people are the supporters, and you can now see a real connection between the stands and the pitch." Rangers host Celtic on Sunday, before welcoming O'Neill's side back to Ibrox the following weekend for the Scottish Cup quarter-final. For Ferguson, the role of the supporters will be crucial. He cites the recent 4-2 win over Hearts as a reminder of what Ibrox can generate when players and fans are united. You need the supporters behind you. You need that connection. That connection was lost last season and at the start of this season, But now I firmly believe it's back, he adds. I was at the Hearts game a week or so ago. The atmosphere was absolutely electric. And again, at the Livingston game on Sunday, I thought the support was brilliant. The fans understand where Rangers are. They are in a title fight, and I have no doubt they'll get behind them. This place on Sunday will be absolutely rocking, and the energy the fans can give the players, I think, can push them over the line. Ferguson has always been impressed by the style Rowe has implemented, particularly in that Hearts victory. Rangers were physical, dominant, and boosted by strong January recruitment. I believe you've got to have a physical presence. Certainly in this league, there's no doubt about it, he continues. I can only praise the manager. I like his flexibility. He's willing to change things during games. Whether it's 3 at the back, 4 at the back, or 1 or 2 up top, he gets the opposition thinking, and you've got to give him huge credit for that. But now we're into the nitty-gritty of the season, the most important part, and Rangers need to put together a run of results to stay firmly in contention. When Rowe arrived in October to oversee a recovery job, Rangers trailed Hearts by 13 points. While dropping 2 points against Livingston on Sunday was frustrating, as the gap at the top stretched to 4, Ferguson insists he would have looked at you in a strange way had anyone predicted his club would be in a title race at all when the German took over. And he says, Danny's done a fantastic job. There's no getting away from it. It was a really poor start to the season, results and performances, but Danny, his staff and the players have done ever so well to get themselves into this position. One of the players who could still play an influential role, he thinks, in the next 2 months is James Tavernier, and the former Scotland international has also been impressed with the early sightings of January additions Stuart Romens, Tochi Chukwuani, Andreas Skov Olsen, and Ryan Naderi. He says, Listen, I've only got very good things to say about Tab. He was brilliant for me last year. I think he's been a brilliant servant for the club, and I still think he'll have a big part to play in these final 10 games, and hopefully another 3 games in the Scottish Cup. He'll be huge in the dressing room. He's got the experience, he's a leader, and he'll command the players to fully focus on what's in front of them. I look at last month as a really positive January window. The board backed the manager with the 4 players. I really like Chukwuani and Romens. Nadiri has been a bit in and out with injury, and I think it's going to take a wee bit of time for Skov Olsen. But I look at the 4 players, and I firmly believe that they will strengthen the Rangers' starting 11. During his own 3-month interim spell, Ferguson openly dreamed of landing the job permanently. He stated near the end of that period that if he did not get the Rangers post, he would not consider a management post elsewhere, and instead return to an off-pitch role at Ibrox. His short tenure delivered some memorable highs, notably a win over Celtic at Parkhead, and a victory against Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce in the Europa League. After securing a goalless draw at home to Athletic Bilbao in the subsequent quarter-final, a place in the semi-finals of European competition was within touching distance before late heartbreak in Spain. Now back in his ambassadorial role, Ferguson says he just loves being involved again. Life is a lot quieter, a lot more peaceful. I loved the 3 months I had in charge last year, but I'm back doing the role I did before. I just love being involved with the club. They're certainly keeping me busy. I'm enjoying the quiet life and enjoying Rangers being in a title flight, he added. Report by Joshua Barry. Evening Times Sport, February 26. Warriors teammate praises world-class Darge. Rugby. Angus Fraser has lavished praise on Glasgow Warriors teammate Rory Darge, labelling the Scotland flanker world-class. The 26-year-old has arguably been Scotland's best performer in the Six Nations, with Gregor Townsend's men still in contention in the championship. After the damaging defeat to Italy, Scotland have responded impressively with yet another win over England, backed up by a comeback triumph against Wales. Darge was outstanding against England at Murrayfield and deservedly collected the Man of the Match award in Cardiff. The Scotland co-captain's ability to win turnovers at the breakdown and incredible energy have caught the eye, and his Warriors teammate Fraser is unequivocal about his talent when he said, "Darge is an unbelievable athlete. His ability to carry and just get through, and his defensive ability of getting over the ball and stuff. He's world class. It's great to see him out there performing well." Glasgow's squad is littered with Scotland internationals in the back row, with Darge, Matt Fagerson, Jack Dempsey and Gregor Brown, all providing competition for Fraser. With so many Warriors players away on international duty, Fraser will likely be handed an opportunity to impress against Connaught on Saturday. And he says, "Every game counts towards the league, and we want to finish as high up as we can. So when we get our opportunity, we have just got to take it, and then take it where they are. So we don't have a drop in performance, and that's what we try to focus on. We've just got to focus on what we're doing and just go one step at a time. But it's great to see where we are, but we're not looking down too much. We had a couple of weeks off, and then when we came back, our coach Franco Smith put us back into pre-season mode. So it's a lot of hard work getting us back into shape, and it's just a lot of organisation, and the boys get to run at each other." Fraser came through as a hooker, but he has played the majority of his minutes recently as flanker. The 26-year-old has no preference and is still ready to revert to hooker. "I still do all my throwing and scrumming at all hooker," admitted Fraser. "I just want to play rugby as much as I can. If that's in the back row as a hooker, I don't mind. Just any opportunity I get, I want to be out there." Report by Ewan Robertson. Evening Times Sport, February 27. Graham McGarry on that Celtic win in Stuttgart. It was the game that Celtic apparently needed like a hole in the head, but they may have given their fragile confidence a shot in the arm with a more than credible display as they exited the Europa League in Stuttgart, but regained a measure of pride with their one-goal win. For a week, Celtic fans had largely been dreading this match after their 4-1 humbling in the first leg in Glasgow, and the large number of fans who travelled was more of a reflection on the attraction of a couple of days on the Pilsner and pretzels than it was of their belief in their team to turn this tie around. Then, in 28 seconds, everything changed as Luke McCowan stunned the packed electric MHPA arena into silence. Callum McGregor fed the ball to Yang on the right, who found Junior Adamu in space on the edge of the box. McCowan ran off the back of his marker, collected Adamu's measured through ball, and curled a beautiful composed finish into the net. A second goal would have made things very interesting, but while a much-changed Celtic side could not manage that, they did at least go down swinging. Here are the talking points from the MHP Arena as Celtic recorded their first ever competitive win in Germany. European dream ends here for Martin O'Neill and Celtic, but they avoid morale-damaging defeat. To say the build-up to this game was underwhelming would be rather understating it, with excitement at the prospect among the Celtic fans enjoying the unseasonable warm sunshine outside the bars, not exactly at fever pitch. It was a team who immediately turned up the heat on the hosts, though, with their quick-fire start, and although they were pinned back for stretches after that, and Stuttgart got in on the Celtic right a few times, the Scottish champions looked relatively comfortable for long stretches. They should have doubled their lead, in fact, within 5 minutes, as Donovan and Adamu again linked up well, with the latter eventually crossing for Dazen Maeda, who just couldn't get a telling connection after getting across his defender at the near post. This really would have put the Katze among the Tobin, as the locals say, but while Celtic could not ultimately pull off the remarkably improbable turnaround, the tonking that many of their supporters feared never looked remotely like materialising. The Europa League campaign may end here, and along with it the long and storied European adventures of their manager, but Celtic's confidence will be unscathed, and perhaps even enhanced, by what they showed here ahead of a critical few weeks domestically. McCowan shines to stake Ibrox's claim. Quite apart from the fact that he found the net with his first touch of the ball, and while the raucous pre-match anthem was still being belted out by the home fans, this was one of McCowan's most impressive displays in a Celtic jersey, particularly in a first half where he showed craft, composure, and a voracious appetite to graft for the cause in the midfield. His manager had challenged the players coming into the side for this one to seize their opportunity to impress and try to force their way into the team for the crunch meeting with Rangers that follows, and McCowan was the one who showed not only how desperate he was to claim a spot for that game, but just what he can bring to the team when he is on his game. He has had his ups and downs of late in a Celtic jersey, but while there is never any doubt over the lifelong Celtic fans' commitment, McCowan's ability as a footballer can often be overlooked. He showed here that he has more to him than just honest graft, with one brilliant swivel on the edge of the Celtic box to get away from two men and set his team away on the counter, a particular showcase of his technical level. He was withdrawn after 68 minutes, perhaps a sign that he was being saved for the bigger fish Celtic have to fry this weekend. Biljame Sinisalo keeps clean sheets. Could he force out Kasper Schmeichel? The iffy form of Schmeichel of late has made the Celtic goalkeeping position a live discussion point, and Sime Salo did his part in keeping that debate bubbling along with a decent display. Granted, Stuttgart could not really get their attacking game going, and the few saves he did make in the first half were ones you would expect him to. The thing is, though, these are exactly the sort of bread and butter stops that Schmeichel has been struggling with of late. He did also make a great stop low to his left from Bunanane just after the hour, and while he was beaten twice by strikes from Chris Hulich and Denise Unda that were ruled out for offside, there was little he could be expected to do about either effort. It may be expected that O'Neill will lean on the leadership and experience of Schmeichel when his team enters the Bear Pit on Sunday, but few Celtic fans would likely back that call as it stands. Austin Trusty will be missed. The American has tended to save his best performances for the European arena in his Celtic career, and he was impressive again here as he backed up a colossal showing in Bologna with another solid display. Little wonder then that O'Neill bristled so much on Wednesday when he addressed news of the failed appeal against Trusty's red card from the weekend defeat to Hibs, and the way the officials arrived at their decision. He is at his best when asked to defend his box, and he did so here effectively, making blocks, winning headers, and muscling attackers off the ball, all qualities that would likely have been handy at Ibrox. How costly his absence may be over the next 3 league games remains to be seen. Dane Murray restores reputation. The absence of Trusty will of course leave an opportunity for another defender to partner Liam Scales on Sunday, and Murray will hope to have done enough here to edge out Benjamin Arthur for the honour. The young centre-back suffered a huge blow to his confidence and reputation with a disastrous display at Tynecastle earlier in the season, but this was much more like it from Murray, who settled down after a slightly shaky start to put on an accomplished display at the heart of the Celtic defence. He still has the odd misplaced pass, but he made some vital blocks to help Celtic maintain their lead and come away from Germany with an unexpected win. Evening Times Sport, February 27. I joined Rangers for £3 million. I'm surprised at my impact. Report by Mark Walker. New Rangers star Tour Romens admits he is surprised at just how quickly he has made an impact at Ibrox after his move from Belgium. The left-back signed in a £3 million deal from Westerlo last month and has become a key player for Danny Rowe's side after initially being sidelined with an injury. Rangers legend and former manager Ali McCoy called him exceptional after their 4-2 win against league leaders Hearts earlier this month, and Romens admits he's pleased he has been able to make an impression, and said, "I just try to do my best every game, although I have to admit I didn't expect it to go so smoothly. I've seen these compliments, but I'm staying calm. I've ended up in a really good group of players here, and that has made it a bit easier to adapt. I couldn't pass up this opportunity. I'm now at a big club that's competing for the title and who have been active in Europe. With all due respect, that's quite different from playing at Waterloo." And in an interview in his homeland, Romens admitted the physical side of Scottish football suits him when he said, "In Belgium, Some of the matches we play here would have resulted in about 4 penalties. Here, you are allowed to be more physical, but I like that. I have always been a player who likes to go in for a tough tackle, and if you give everything for the club here, you have the unconditional support of the fans. Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, February 27. What surprised Rangers boss about Celtic's Europa League win? Report by Ewan Payton. Rangers boss Danny Röhl admits he was surprised that Celtic did not try to win their Europa League tie against Stuttgart last night. Luke McCowan fired Martin O'Neill's much-changed team into a first-minute lead in Germany to make the score 4-2 in aggregate following last week's resounding win for the visitors in Glasgow. While the Hoops walked away with a 1-0 victory last night, they were well beaten over both legs and struggled to capitalise on their early goal to make more of a fist of the tie. I think when you see the lineup from yesterday, the starting lineup, then I expect some changes. It's normal. They try to use the full squad, Röhl said when asked about Celtic. I was a little bit surprised after 1-0 that they're not trying to win this game 2-0, 3-0 to have a chance. They keep the result until the end. I think they're just a little bit apart. It will be interesting as well, the goalkeeper position, what he's doing now. Let's see. But we are prepared. I think we're focused on ourselves. We also have some interesting decisions to make. I know if everyone is available, it's also for me in some positions not an easy decision, because there are more than 2 or 3 players who are ready for this game. It's a good situation. I like this. My players showed that they are ready. I think this is crucial, and yes, let's see what it means on Sunday. With Celtic losing at home to Hibs last weekend, Rangers missed the chance to open a bigger gap on their rivals and stay closer to Hearts when they stuttered to a 2-2 draw at Basement Boys Livingston. Röhl is keen to put that game to bed and focus on the positives from the match, where the visitors came back from 2 goals down, and he added, "We missed 2 points, but let's turn it positively. At the end we won 1 point after being 2-0 down. But of course, when you go there and you have so many chances, I think they had all in all 3 touches in our box, and they had 2 goals. It's difficult to understand, but this is football. That's the reason why we love this sport, that anything can happen. But we have to go forward on Sunday and have a good game." Meanwhile, Röhl has directly addressed Luke McCowan's remarks ahead of that clash between Rangers and Celtic on Sunday. The Ibrox boss was quizzed for his response to the Celtic midfielder's claim that no team in the league touches us when the Parkhead side are at our best. McCowan made that comment after Celtic's 1-0 victory over Stuttgart in the Europa League. Röhl was puzzled by the comments as he insisted it makes no sense to speak about the opposition too much and instead focus on Rangers, while also citing the league table with Rangers ahead of their city rivals. The German coach said, "I think at the moment we are in the second position. They are behind us. I think they have at the moment 7 or 8 defeats. Yeah, I think in general it makes no sense to speak too much about the other side. So we have to focus on ourselves. We want to win this game. I see my team is ready to take points, and then we'll see on Sunday. Hopefully both teams try everything. and I'm confident that we have a big chance of winning the game. Evening Times Sport, February 27. Newest Glasgow Warrior glad to have navigated road to deal. Report by Gavin Harper. Jack Oliver hopes late dad Greg would be proud after the young scrum half signed his first professional contract with Glasgow Warriors. Oliver admitted he had endured a rocky road to his first full-time deal after coming through the academy ranks at Munster before making the move to Scotstoun last summer. He said making it into the senior squad was an ambition and was delighted to have been rewarded by Warriors boss Franco Smith. Said Oliver, "It was a big deal of mine and a big goal of mine when I came over here. I came over probably at the end of last year and was on an academy contract this year. So it was a big goal of mine this year, and I am delighted." Oliver has relished being part of the Glasgow setup and learning from Scotland pair George Horne and Jamie Dobie, while also competing with Ben Afshar. He made his debut against Zebre at the beginning of January, while making a special second appearance against former side Munster last month. And he says, "The first one was very good, because I got to play in Duncan Weir's last game, which was a special game for the club. I was delighted to get on the pitch at the same time as him, even for a couple of minutes, because I would have watched him when I was younger, and he's a top fellow." And on facing his old side, he added, "I only got on for a couple of minutes, but it was good. I enjoyed that one to get one over them." Oliver admitted his rugby journey has been a bit rocky so far, with some tough times during his stint at Munster. It was also during that time the Ireland Age Grade International had to cope with the death of his dad, former Scotland cap Greg, in the summer of 2023. The 3 times capped scrum half was killed in a paragliding accident in South Africa while watching his son in the Under-20 World Championship. Jack believes his dad, who was part of the Hoyt team that won 4 consecutive Scottish League titles in the mid-1980s, would be proud of his move to Scotland, and he said, "I'm sure he would have been delighted that I'm over here playing in Scotland, so I'm glad." Earlier this season, Oliver was pictured at Hoyt's clubhouse beside a picture of his dad, and the 22-year-old still harbours ambitions of a run-out at Mansfield Park one day. And he said, "I get down there as much as I can. It's been nice to get down there a couple of times and see little pictures up in the clubhouse. I've been kicking in Mansfield Park, and I will hopefully be able to play there one day. That's the goal." But before that, Oliver is likely to be involved when the Warriors return to league action against Connacht tomorrow. George Horne has been retained by Scotland after his impressive cameos from the bench in the Six Nations, while Jamie Dobie's injury could further open the door for Oliver. But the newest member of the Warriors senior squad played down his chances of more regular game time in the coming weeks, when he said, "We'll see what happens. Hopefully an opportunity will come up, and hopefully I can take that opportunity if it comes." Warriors boss Smith, meanwhile, was delighted to see the young scrum half progress into the senior squad and added, "Jack is a young player. We believe he has great potential. and we have been impressed by his willingness and desire to work hard and learn from those around him. He has earned his opportunities this season, giving his all for the Glasgow jersey. We look forward to continuing to watch him develop here at Scotstoun and seeing him progress further into the professional game. Report by Gavin Harper. Evening Times Sport, March 2. Danny Rowe responds to criticism of Rangers pair after Celtic collapse. Report by Matthew Lindsay. There was no question about who was the more deflated of the two managers in the aftermath of the William Hill Premiership match between Rangers and Celtic at Ibrox yesterday afternoon. Having seen his side surrender a commanding 2-goal lead in the second half of an Old Firm derby, which they had been in complete control of, Danny Rowe was unable to disguise his dismay. However, the German coach, whose men had gone in front through a first-half Yusuf Chermiti double, was disappointed, not despondent, following the 2-2 draw. He dismissed suggestions that Rangers' second-half collapse showed that his players lacked the mental strength needed to negotiate what promises to be a demanding Scottish title run-in, and brushed off questions about the failings of specific players at his post-match press conference. Rowe, whose team will play Celtic at home again in the Scottish Gas Scottish Cup quarter-final on Sunday, was adamant his new-look team simply need to maintain their first-half performance for the full game to achieve their ambitions this term. And he said, "I don't accept this about mentality. Everyone who has played football knows there is a story in every game. It is important that we continue our performance for the whole 90 minutes. We need to do this. Yes, of course, you need wins. Every team needs wins. Today we played out a draw. But I think, especially after the first 50 minutes, everyone in this room will agree with how well Rangers played. This has to be the benchmark for how we should play more and more. But it's about 95 minutes. We couldn't keep that performance level, and that's what we have to improve. We have done this already, and we have shown character to come back before." Rowe added, "So the gap is now 6 points. But I have said this time and time again. This will go to the final match day. We will fight and fight for every point until the end. There are 9 games to go. There are a lot of things still to play for. I truly believe in my players. We will try and improve against them next week, and we will go again. I think this is key. In the end, I am disappointed. We are all disappointed. We played 50 minutes of outstanding football in all aspects of the game. We were much the better team with good pressing and good transition moments. We dominated them and they had no chances. But the game is across 95 minutes, not 45 minutes or 50 minutes. It was clear to me at half-time that they would try something, that we would come out strong. You could feel the momentum change. At the end, they get the penalty to make it 2-2. Chermiti took his goals brilliantly and was one of Rangers' better performers during the 90 minutes. But the fact that the £9 million striker has not produced consistently in lesser matches was raised following the final whistle. To date, he has netted 9 times in the 25-26 season, and 8 of those have been against Celtic and Hearts. Asked if the marquee summer signing had to deliver on a regular basis if his charges are to leapfrog Hearts and finished first in the top flight. Rowe said, "I think it is not just Yusuf. The opponent stepped up in the second half. There is momentum in a game, and it influences individual performances. If you lose the ball 2 or 3 times, you cannot bring your next pass to a teammate. It takes a little bit more trust and belief in your own performance." Andreas Skov Olsen set up Jamiti for his spectacular opener, but the Danish international failed to exert much influence on proceedings after that, and was replaced by Dejede Gassama in the second half. And said Rowe, "He is on the way to being better and better. He has had some good assists. It is all about us. There is no player who can be too much in the comfort zone. We have to increase and be better and better and better in every game." I see direction, but today we could not keep our performance in the first half going in the second 45 minutes, and that is the reason we are disappointed. We have to be disappointed about us, and then we move forward. There were some moments where we lost the ball in areas that we should not. We gave them some transition moments and allowed the game to become stretched when we wanted to keep it compact. We tried to stabilise the midfield with a third midfielder, Mohammed, coming on to replace Ryan Naderi. Then football is all about energy. But you felt that we could not really get this momentum back, and we had an opponent who tried everything. I would need to look back and count how many chances they had, because apart from the penalty, I cannot really think of how many shots they had. But this is football. We have to learn. We have to take it. We will speak about it, and then we will try to make it better next time around. Asked if he was disappointed that Hatate got 3 chances to net at the injury time equaliser, Rome said, "First, you have to say Jack Butland makes a fantastic save. It was a little bit lucky that the ball lands exactly for Hatate and not to the side. It's a fantastic second save, but all in all it's tough to take because the equaliser came so late and it was a penalty as well. We have to take it today, but it's my job to give them the belief that we can go again." Report by Matthew Lindsay. Evening Times Sport, March 2. Sine Salo is Celtic number 1 ready. Report by Mark Walker. Viljami Sine Salo has proved he's got what it takes to be Celtic's goalkeeper after the Old Firm showdown, according to his countryman, former Rangers and Hearts star Antti Niemi. The 24-year-old made his second start in a row for the Hoops in the dramatic 2-2 draw at Ibrox, with Kasper Schmeichel missing due to illness. Sine Salo made his Old Firm debut last season in an almost meaningless game in May, which finished in a 1-1 draw at Ibrox. However, Niemi, who was mostly back up at Ibrox before spending 3 years at Tynecastle, was hugely impressed that Sine Salo performed in an intense battle this time. He said, "Last spring the situation was pretty clear. Celtic were practically already champions, but they were playing for big stakes yesterday. So this game was truly a significant event in Viljami's career. It ultimately showed that he was trusted. Pressure is something you cannot practice in advance. You can only face it and bear it. Every touch mattered, and every single thing that happened would be analysed with a magnifying glass. Viljami will now be tougher for the experience and better for it. I cannot think of a better test. He stepped into something that is hard to explain to someone who has not experienced it firsthand. The Old Firm is not just a match, it is a phenomenon. It's a feeling that starts weeks before kick-off and continues long after the final whistle. People who have not seen it, or who are unfamiliar with Scottish football, might shrug their shoulders. But that's just the way it is. The intensity and the pressure are on a different level than anywhere else in Britain. Sine Salo will certainly win and lose an Old Firm game at some point. Both will help him in his career. I'm really happy for him. I lost my only Old Firm game 5-1 to Celtic. In Scotland, that always leaves a stain. The result is not forgotten. But at the same time, it taught me more than many victories. It taught me how to deal with disappointment, stand tall after a defeat, and play the next training session with even greater determination. But despite backing his fellow Finn at Celtic and previously playing for Rangers, Naomi only wants one team to win the title when he said, "This season, the stakes are high as Rangers and Celtic battle it out for the title again. But my personal hope is that the title goes to Hearts." Meanwhile, Hearts' title Premiership odds have been boosted. The Jambos defeated Aberdeen 1-0 on Saturday, thanks to a solitary Claudio Braga first-half goal. This meant Derek McInnes and his players could put their feet up yesterday while watching Rangers and Celtic lock horns. Betfair spokesperson James Mackey said, "Following another weekend of drama in the Scottish Premiership title race, odds have been slashed on Hearts to lift the title. Derek McInnes' side are now as short as evens to go all the way, having previously been 11-8, while Rangers and Celtic have seen their odds drift to 5-2 after sharing the Derby Day spoils. Elsewhere, Motherwell are just 12-1 to go all the way, having seen off Dundee United at Fir Park. Evening Times Sport, March 2. Suter admits questions over Rangers' mentality are fair. Report by Ronnie Esplin. John Suter admits Rangers fans are right to question the players' mentality after they surrendered a commanding 2-goal lead against Celtic, but he asked for more time before they make their judgment. A stunning overhead kick from striker Yusuf Chermiti put the home side at Ibrox ahead after 8 minutes, and he cleverly added a second after 26 minutes as Danny Rowe's side dominated their Old Firm rivals. However, in an unforeseen second-half turnaround, goals from left-back Kieran Tierney and substitute Rio Hatate, after Rangers goalkeeper Jack Butland had saved his last-gasp spot kick and his second effort from a rebound, left home supporters despondent about a 2-2 draw that felt like a defeat. With 9 fixtures remaining, Rangers are 6 points behind William Hill Premiership leaders Hearts and 2 ahead of Celtic, whose game in hand is away to Aberdeen on Wednesday night. Rangers have drawn 4 of their last 6 league games and 12 in total this season, and when it was suggested that fans will ask if this Rangers group has a mentality issue when it comes to having the bottle to push on and make it count, the Scotland defender said, "Yes, of course that's going to be the question. What I can say is that we need to be judged at the end of the season, because there's 9 games left, And if I was a fan looking just now, I'd be asking the same questions. It is natural. But for me, we've got to be really clean in the next 9 games. We've got to stand up and we've got to win, and we cannot afford slip-ups. Obviously Hearts are 6 points ahead, so it's up to them, and we've got to hope they drop points, and we've got to win every game. But I'd say, ask us at the end of the season, and judge us then. Suter claimed that Rangers' impressive first-half display can be a benchmark for the remainder of the season. Celtic visit Ibrox again on Sunday in the Scottish Gas Scottish Cup quarter-final tie, but acknowledged it has to be for the whole game, and he continued, I personally think that's when we're at our best, when we're physical. The crowd were up, we were playing in their half, fast, aggressive football, and we were the same against Hearts at home in the 4-2 win. But we've got to do it for the full game. There's no point doing it for 45 or 50 minutes. We've got to keep going for the full game. And yes, there will be periods where we cannot do that, the full game. Celtic are a good side. There will be moments when they have possession, when they play their game, and it's important then that we're a bit more experienced and we get into a shape and we're difficult to play through. Report by Ronnie Esplin. Evening Times Sport, March 2. Stephen McGowan says, Hearts the real winners from Rangers and Celtic's frailties. A man's 74th birthday should be a sedate affair. A visit from the grandchildren should be followed by a spot of gardening or fishing, a scenic drive, or a quiet meal down the local. Where some septuagenarians like to potter around the shed, put their feet up, or carpet bomb Iran, Martin O'Neill finished his big day by pulling warring Celtic and Rangers players apart, as Hearts manager Derek McInnes sat watching at home, raising a toast in his honour. Recently, Hearts fans have developed a habit of bemoaning Celtic's late goals. When Rio Hatate forced his equalising penalty kick home at the third time of asking in the 90th minute, they could barely believe their luck. When Rangers threatened to rout their bitter rivals during a one-sided first half, peace in the Middle East seemed more likely. A draw between these two imperfect football teams was always their perfect scenario, the proof they craved that Celtic and Rangers are so hopelessly riddled with flaws and inconsistencies that they should now finish a job which looked like becoming a good deal harder when Danny Rowe's team were on course to delivering an Old Firm mauling. O'Neill's first visit to Ibrox as Celtic boss ended in a 5-1 thumping a quarter of a century ago, and during a first 45 minutes, when his team selection raised questions, a repeat looked more likely than not. Players in blue were winning every physical battle, every first and second ball, overrunning a rabble who looked more like a Celtic team from 1994 than a side with 13 league titles from the last 14. With Mikey Moore on fire, Hearts began to glance over their shoulders anxiously. Rangers played at times like champions in waiting. You would have paid good money for Kevin Thelwell's thoughts at that point. A decision to pay through the nose for Yusuf Chermiti became a noose around the neck of the former Ibrox sporting director when the £8 million man struggled to hit a barn door with a beach ball. Pitch Chermiti into a big occasion these days, and he is the new Erling Haaland. He scored 2 against Celtic in a 3-1 win at Parkhead. He scored 3 against Hearts in a rousing victory 2 weeks ago. His latest Old Firm double was redolent of Ali McCoist in his Ibrox pomp. The athleticism and timing of the overhead kick, which opened the scoring after 8 minutes, was magnificent. Recalling a more spectacular Old Firm strike in recent times is a stretch. In September 2003, months after he had taken the club to the UEFA Cup final in 2003, O'Neill delivered a sobering glimpse into the club's fiscal future. Dreading the day when Henrik Larsson finally left, a Parkhead board fixated with debt and high costs were beginning to rein in the spending and replace his best players with inferior alternatives. Said the Northern Irishman ruefully, "If it is the case, we'll have to get used to life in the slow lane." Managed decline was not immediately obvious when he started his last game at Ibrox in 2005 with Craig Bellamy, John Hartson, Chris Sutton, Neil Lennon and Alan Thompson in the team. By the time he pitched up at the same venue with Dane Murray in the shirt Bobo Baldi used to wear, it was difficult to miss. A fourth-choice central defender with an unfortunate habit of cock-ups in big games, he made another one when a horrendous attempt at a slice clearance spun into the path of Chermiti. Another sublime finish and Rangers were 2 up as Celtic threatened to move from the slow lane to a toxic ditch by the side of the M8. A 32-year-old Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain gambled around having his pocket picked by a Rangers midfield so rabid and energetic they could not possibly keep it going. Early in the second half, they ran out of legs. Hatate was no one's idea of a game-changing Celtic replacement. In recent weeks, the Japanese playmaker has looked like a man running down the clock, a disinterested figure playing out time until he moves on to the MLS or France or somewhere windswept and interesting. Hatate mustered Celtic's first shot on target after 55 minutes, and the dial began to nudge. Moments later, Kieran Tierney marked his 200th start for the club by nodding Benjamin Nygren's cross into the net, and the home support, which had spent the first half in a state of euphoria, began gnawing at their fingernails. Rangers were off it now. They gave the ball away and surrendered possession as Celtic latched on to every loose or second ball and grew in confidence, creating chances to draw level through Dazen Maeda, Hatate and Luke McCowan, before Dujong Sterling's outstretched arm stopped a point-blank Maeda header from finding the net. After a VAR review, a penalty was the right decision. Against Jack Butland, a spot kick is nowhere near the given it should be. The former England number 1 has now saved 8 of his last 9 penalties in all competitions, and while he bust a gut to foil Hatate twice, the substitute rammed the ball home at the third time of asking. Another late Celtic fightback must have been a hell of a relief to substitute McCowan. Players in Glasgow should know that loose lips have the capacity to sink ships before the Old Firm game, and when the midfielder emerged from Thursday night's win over Stuttgart to claim that no team in the league touches O'Neill's men when they are at it, he risked post-match ridicule. Celtic are hardly ever at it these days. If the first half is good, the second half is poor. If the first half is awful, they storm back in the second. Putting two good halves together seemed to be too much to expect. Even after the unlikeliest of points, they are still a good deal closer to fourth-place Motherwell than they are to first-placed Hearts. If nothing else, a point means they are still in the hunt with 10 games to play. They can leapfrog Rangers as soon as Wednesday and go second if they win their game in hand in Aberdeen. While Rogues Rangers still have 27 points within their grasp, drop points in 4 of their last 6 league games is hardly title-winning form. Play every game like they did the first half yesterday, and they might just do it. Play as they did in the second, when they surrendered territory and chances to a Celtic side full of sticking plasters, loans and fourth-choice defenders, and they will be lucky to finish third. The question of whether Hearts can rock Scottish football by going on to win a league should now be redundant. Study 2 ropey teams at Ibrox yesterday, and the question everyone should actually be asking is who exactly will stop them, says Stephen McGowan.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service